Good morning. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. That the Lord has made. We will rejoice. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made.
So good. And here we are on this beautiful first Sunday of October. Beautiful autumn day. And I'm Reverend Gary Kanye, and this is Reverend Maggie Altman. We're so glad you've joined us for our live stream. You know, Unity is a spiritual community that fosters personal transformation for healing, for wholeness, and for an intimate connection with the divine. We do this through affirmative prayer and meditation that open us to realize our oneness with God. Now, we honor the light that lives in all religious and spiritual traditions, for the light shining through every stained glass window or every mosque, dome, temple, cathedral, or church tent is the very same light shining in us, and we call that light God. Now, we know that what we experience is based on what we believe, what we say. And when we say what we believe with conviction, or what I like to say with gusto, it ignites a powerful force in the universe. So let's say this great truth with gusto together. There is only one presence, one power, active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, omnipotent.
I only say that every Sunday.
That is so good. And we are blessed to have Prayer Chaplain Steve Cleverly here to lead us in our gathering prayer. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, and good morning to all of you. Good morning, good morning. And I would like you all just to take a deep breath in slowly, knowing that we are bringing in to us the love of God, the love that is God. And as we exhale, we are not getting rid of bad air. We are not getting rid of used air. We are sending that love back out to all that we think of, all that we know, and all that we meet. And as Reverend Gary said, this beautiful autumn day, as the leaves start to fall, we know we are not falling. We are rising. We are not rising in the love of God. We are rising in the love that is God. That love that fills each of us. Our family, our friends, the one that cuts you off in the road, the worker that upsets you at work, all of us filled with the love that is God. And we go forth feeling that and knowing that it is so. And we release this into the universe as truth, knowing, as we say, there is only one presence, one power active in my life. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Steve. Well, it is the first Sunday, so this is a time for Diversity Sunday that we acknowledge some of those observations that peoples on this planet celebrate. And we always like to start with the 12 Powers. This is a book that our co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote, The 12 Powers of Man. And October is the month for zeal. I love zeal. It's the color orange. The disciple is Simon. The location is the medulla, the base of the brain. And this is the faculty of intensity, enthusiasm, and exuberance to achieve.
And from the 2nd through the 9th is Sukkot, a 7-day Jewish festival giving thanks for the fall harvest, which commemorates the years that the Jews spent in the desert on their way to the Promised Land. And it celebrates the many ways in which God protected those people during their journey under the really strenuous desert conditions.
Beautiful. And today, October 4th, it's St. Francis Day. St. Francis of Assisi, born in 1191 to a rich and living in the luxury of life until he felt that call by God to live a life of service and poverty. And it's on that journey that he brought forth a wisdom to acknowledge the environment and animals. And in that, we see him as the patron saint of animals and the environment. And it's the day many churches do a pet blessing, like we're going to do today.
Exactly. And on October 12th is Indigenous Peoples Day. This is an alternative to Columbus Day, which gives recognition to the indigenous populations that have been impacted from colonization. What a beautiful way to honor those that were origin to our country.
I love that. And October 28th to 29th is Eid Milad Nabi. Now, this is celebrated in the Islamic community. It's celebration of Muhammad's birthday. It's done with large parades and decorating plazas and homes and in great style. It's also a time where people offer great to charity service.
And the 31st of the month through November 2nd is known as All Hallows Tide. It starts on the 31st with Halloween, and this is a Christian observance that moves in through the All Hallows Day, which is dedicated to remembering the dead, including saints and martyrs, and our faithful departed. This day is celebrated at its conclusion with Dia de los Muertos in Mexico and in our central regions. It's my favorite holiday.
I love that. So remember these different days over the month, and let's send love and prayer for all peoples on the planet. And so with that, let's sing our congregational song, I Feel the Spirit.
I feel the Spirit moving in me. 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 I feel the joy 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 moving in me. I feel the peace 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 moving in me. I feel the vision moving in me.
beautiful. And here we are on St. Patrick's Day.
Saint Cece's Day.
I love it. I love it. And as Reverend Maggie and I talked about it, we thought, animals have been so important in our lives, and with the great wisdom of St. Francis, we bring you animal wisdom.
And they are so wise and so pertinent to creating a full experience. Now, not all of us have pets, and for whatever reasons, busy lives and allergies and whatnot, but we cannot help but notice the richness and the fullness that the complete circle of life is when we recognize our four-legged and slithering and scaly and feathered friends that are joining us on this journey and contributing to our environment as we are, in fact, one with each other and with them.
It's so true. And so we found this great quote.
Yeah.
Tricia Markov has a book titled Animal Whisperer. So she comes from that knowing how important animals are. Her wisdom says, animals are the bridge between us and the beauty of all that is natural. They show us what's missing in our lives and how to love ourselves more completely and unconditionally. They connect us back to who we are and to the purpose of why we're here. Mm-hmm. I love this because as we can look at where we are, we know that animals have been an important part of our journey. I love it. When I first arrived here in New Braunfels, one of the first things I did is I went to the snake farm. Now, I thought it was a roadside, like Charm the Snake kind of place. I went in and I was stunned by not only the array of snakes, but the wonderful collection of well-cared for animals, mammals, all kinds. And there were even 2 baby white tigers. So beautiful. And it brought me a great knowing that there's much for me to know here in Texas about the love of animals.
I'm glad you brought up snakes. I still have some work to do around my love of snakes. Just going to confess that right now. But I really appreciate this wisdom that Tricia's sharing with us, because for me, I have always had animals in my life. I have had my first cat that was my very own. His name was Rocky. He was a Siamese kitty. And what I have learned through having multiple animals come in and out of my life and in my family is that they show me how to not sweat the small stuff, how to just slow down and enjoy a nice stretch of sunbathing and a nice bath and be appreciative of all of the love and treats and joy that comes with just my presence. So if I can be the kind of person that I think my dog thinks I am, then I'm really showing up the fullest I can be in the expression of pure divine love. And for me also, life happens, right? Ups and downs and sadness and tragedies hit our families, and my animals are always there to just be a pillar. They're just there without asking for anything. They have such an innate intuition that I have to believe comes from taking time in the silence, being present in each now moment, and being willing to love, because that's what they are put in on the planet, and most definitely in my life, to just be. And I have such deep appreciation for that.
Well, that reminds me of a story, because when I was training to be a licensed Unity teacher, I went to Unity Village and I did my 3rd week of classes. And then there was a week between before I did the skills demonstration seminar to get the credential. Well, anyway, I went to see my sister during that week from Kansas City, and I landed in Denver, and I got so sick. I mean, I was sick. High fever and chills, and I was not going anywhere. In fact, I was in bed. And my sister's animals, she had a dog, Cleo, and a cat, Laszlo, and they both stayed with me 24 hours a day. Except to go to the bathroom or to eat, they were right there with me. And when I had chills from the fever, Laszlo would lay right on top of me and warm me up. And when I was hot and feverish, she would just lay to the side. They know, and that they didn't know me very well, but they knew I needed something, and they nursed me back to health. Now, the day before I was to fly to Kansas City to do that testing, my fever broke, and I succeeded in passing my tests. So it's all
Thank
good.
you, Cleo and Laszlo. And it would be wonderful if we could take a page from our animal brothers and sisters and treat each other as human beings with such ease and grace and selflessness. In fact, St. Francis of Assisi says, if you have men who will exclude any of God's creatures from the shelter of compassion and pity, you will have men who will deal likewise with their fellow men. What wisdom, what a wonderful way to say, how far long ago? 1,000 years ago? And wisdom that has carried forward, because if we could look around at how we are rising up, as Steve said in our opening prayer today, we're rising up and we're awakening to how valuable we are in connection with one another. And it's a shame that it took this pandemic to break physical connection for us to go, oh gosh, we really want that. Not only do we want it, we need it. And it's no mistake that during this time, shelters have been emptied. People are going to where they can get soulful, compassionate connection. And that is in adopting our domesticated friends, our cats and dogs. But this is saying if we can't treat, if you're recognizing someone who doesn't even have the common courtesy to treat an animal with compassion, with love, with patience and kindness, then why would you expect that same individual to treat his or her fellow man the same way? It just is a breath of eye-opening air, like, wow, how much we really need to practice loving unconditionally through our animals and to each other.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm an animal. And as an animal, I am finding that as I walk with other animals, and certainly this time, this really amazing curriculum of this global pandemic, this political unrest, the racism, the consciousness of awakening, and knowing that as we observe the practice of wearing a mask, protecting me, protecting you, there's consideration. There's looking ahead and allowing. I've actually found that there's more compassion on the road as people stop to allow people to make a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn. There's a little more space for us to give each other a little more room, a little more space. I think the social distancing has come into our knowing as a way of like, okay, well, I have a little extra space. You have a little extra space. Now let's see what we do with that space. And I'm choosing to look at it as a space where I can fill it with love. I can fill it with understanding. And there's times when I have to practice forgiveness, forgiving myself, forgiving others, because we don't always follow the practice of unconditional love.
Right.
Sometimes we get in a hurry, we get a little upset, maybe woke up on the wrong side of the bed, whatever. We're all allowed to feel whatever we need to feel, which gives us an opportunity to have that same compassion that we have for animals, for each other.
That's right.
We have this quote from Mahatma Gandhi, who says, "The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated."
Absolutely.
I know this is true. And isn't it awesome how there's been a transformation of city zoos across our nation from being little manini cages, boxes, to being open environments where the animals are allowed to roam, even if they want to just go into their private space and not be available for viewing. And this is a huge transformation. Yes, we still have zoos, but they're done with greater compassion. And we can see that compassion in how children are treated, how the elderly are treated, how people with disability are treated. Not perfectly, but we're advancing in that ability to treat each other more caring. And it's certainly, you could draw a parallel between how animals are treated is a direct reflection of the person treating. Therein lies our world.
That's right. That's right. And, 100 years ago, one of the main forms of entertainment was a traveling circus, where animals were kept in horrid conditions. They were abused and neglected and kept in tight cages or on rail cars, even, where they couldn't pace or move or lie down. And then we fast forward to, in the 80s, it was the thrill of my life to go to one of our local aquatic theme parks and see great killer whales doing vast stunts and tricks. And I didn't think about it at 8 years old as this, is this enough room? Where did this beautiful orca come from? How did they come to acquire that? But that was in the 80s. And sure enough, within the next decade, people started to say, this isn't right. We shouldn't be holding our orcas, our zoo friends, and circus as entertainment. We need to be rehabilitating because we do have servants' hearts. As a whole, we want to see our animals treated fairly and justly. I mean, there has been Save the Whales and everything in between to shutting down some of those circuses. They're few and far between at this point. And that's a product of people waking up, raising their consciousness, stepping just one side step outside themselves and thinking, well, if I'm giving this organization my time and my money, what are they doing with it to make that orca's life better? And that is a product of just developing a richer self-awareness. And where are we contributing to our footprint on the planet and restoring those species that have been most gravely put in danger, a lot of the time because of us on 2 feet, right? Yeah. So I just really appreciate that. And one more thing is, I was talking with my daughter Jillian yesterday, who is lactose intolerant, and she was saying how she loved this one particular smoothie because it didn't have dairy. And we're driving down the road, and she said, Mom, it's 2020. Why are there not other dairy-free alternatives on a large commercial scale? And that got us talking about what is sustainable. And it's not a coincidence that here we are evolving and considering our planet and our animals and taking a look at what we're eating and how a plant-based diet is more sustainable. And that trend is definitely on the rise. And I'm no doctor, but I'd wonder where our health is going as a result of that. But it's, I think, going to be the next level of evolution in our consciousness. I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out.
Beautiful.
And St. Francis of Assisi says, "Praise be you, my Lord, through our sister, Mother Earth, who sustains and governs us." So St. Francis of Assisi was definitely an animal whisperer. He was a lover and patron saint of the animals. And as a result of that, he also was connected and communing with and grounded in nature and recognized fully how it is a full cycle of life, how we are interdependent among each other and the elements that are provided for us on the earth. What a wonderful way to just do that exercise of stepping outside of ourselves and taking a breath of our small role as individuals, and how what we hold in mind and our practice in action actually does affect. That's the governing of the planet. And we have a responsibility in that. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And what this brings to my mind is that incredible picture of Mother Earth from space that NASA's provide us with this ability to go into outer space and look back. This beautiful pearl in the vastness of space, that's where we are. And everything on that is here to sustain us and give us what we need. I love our indigenous people who had this wisdom as part of their state of survival, was being gentle in the flow of life and observing the intricate complexity of how nature and life, our life and the animals all work together.
Right.
There's enough space, or we can create enough space for the bison to roam, for the salmon to migrate, for the birds. I mean, we're experiencing right now millions of butterflies that are traveling, or the hummingbirds that are migrating to Mexico. It's all part of how we are completely in the embrace of the loving Mother Earth. I just, it's so incredibly mind-blowing and awesome. I can always see the great vastness of God by looking at nature.
Absolutely. Oh, and yes, go right ahead.
Well, you know, this is here we are with indigenous people and the wise Chief Seattle. Chief Seattle brought forward, and this is in a letter he wrote to the president, if all the beasts were gone, men would die from a great loneliness of spirit. For whatever happens to the beasts also happens to man. All things are connected. You know, Maggie, I'm so grateful we decided to focus on this because animals are so important. In my own life, the first pet in the home was a beautiful cat named Fluffy. And Fluffy slept with me every night. And with that, I found a true companion. I found true friendship and love. And I was brought along in life by that union, by that friendship. And I know you've had great experiences with your pets, the ones you have right now.
Absolutely. They do bring purpose. They bring connection. They bring definitely joy and silliness to me. And I know my soul would miss that terribly. My home would be quiet and fur-free. I wouldn't have anything to gripe about on a regular basis. But when I think about this wisdom that comes from Chief Seattle, I feel like the invitation is for us to close our eyes and picture a time when we were in nature. Maybe we were standing on the edge of a canyon, and how it would be empty, less full, less beautiful, without hearing the sounds of rattles in the, not snakes, but just scurrying free critters in the bushes, the scream of a soaring eagle, the connection we each have with the spirit of the animals. I feel like I would be incomplete. I may feel even lost in my trajectory. My spirit animal is a raven, and it never fails when I need to come present, when I need an answer, when I need to touch that divinity within myself. A raven appears. And how I would experience a deep loneliness within my spirit without having the blessing of the multitude of amazing species besides us that walk this planet. And I really just appreciate this day in honoring St. Francis of Assisi and taking pause and offering the blessing of gratitude for all that they bring to our lives and into our environment and into our furry homes.
And the incredible world that we have, the diversity. I don't think there's any less of an example of how many animal shows there are.
Yeah.
And how we find such a fascination with the life and time of wild animals. Mm-hmm. And it's a call to us. It connects us with something bigger. And if none of that existed, if all animals were as extinct as 8-track tapes, no more, we would be bereft. I don't actually think that we could live. Mm-hmm. And so with this, let's take this knowing and this love of animals and the wisdom they carry for sustenance and the power to connect with humans even when they're wild. We have much to be grateful for. And so let's take this into meditation. As first the Unity Singers bring us into relaxation in music. So as we breathe and let go of everything before this moment, we come into a knowing of peace. And as we center in our heart space and breathe through our heart center, we experience peace. We live peace. And I'd like you to, as you've centered in this space, to connect with the spirit of an animal that you love. It could be a pet. You might have an animal you connect with as a power animal. Think about this animal. What are the attributes about this animal you appreciate the most? As you think about that, let your shoulders relax. Let your belly relax. And see how these attributes or virtues of this animal you're focusing on right now, you embody yourself. You value in your own life. This might be why you're attracted to this animal. It may be an aspect of yourself you're not fully in touch with. But trust me, it's there. It could be strength, vitality, calm, beauty, love, cunning. Whatever those values that you appreciate in the animal. So let's take a deep breath and in your own way thank this animal for being a guiding light for these virtues, these values in your life. Thank you. Thank you for showing me the way, to showing me a deeper understanding of myself. And it's from this point of gratitude that we take time now for a moment to settle in and be in the silence. We're so grateful that we have available to us the silence at any point. And we're so grateful for the animals, the pets, the birds, the oceans filled with incredible creatures. We are so blessed by God's lavish abundance of diversity. And so as we end this meditation and come back into the presence of this room, let's bring this awareness of what we value and some of these values in our lives as we go into our day. Thanking God for this opportunity and wisdom of this wonderful Mother Earth. So breathing in and breathing out, we wiggle our fingers or wiggle our toes, might roll our head, and bring our awareness back into the room wherever we are. And then we'll affirm this affirmation that goes with our talk today. Together. I pray for all animals and see each one being divinely blessed. And as we see that blessing, we're blessed. Thank you.
So now it's time for our offering and our prudent reserve. It's the first Sunday of the month. Do you want to say something about the prudent reserve?
Well, I will. The board, in infinite wisdom, a little over a year ago, established the vision that we establish a prudent reserve, a fund that can give us a cushion when those times when we need cash right now. Mm-hmm. And at that time, we didn't have a single penny in the account. And now we have over $15,000 in our prudent reserve. Now, the goal that we set was to have $21,000 in prudent reserve. And so the first Sunday of every month, we collect a prudent reserve, and that's what that's about.
Great. So when you're getting your tithes, your love offerings together, please remember there's multiple ways to give. We can take the donation button on our website or on our live stream. You can text to tithe or write a check. If you are doing that right now as your regular contribution to our community, please do so as you normally would. And if you are contributing to our prudent reserve and that text to tithe or writing a check, hitting that donate button, please be sure to notate prudent when you send that in so we can attribute it to the right account. We also love and appreciate your inspiration and your prayers and your vision for this community. So whatever it is that's on your heart that is yours to give today, let us affirm this blessing in our affirmation together. In a consciousness of divine love, we receive as we give abundantly, magnifying these gifts and pouring them out in service. We celebrate prosperity. Thank you, God.
And it's always good to bless that which is given. Mm-hmm. It blesses our lives because whatever we put out comes back to us. This is how the universe works. And so we bless the offerings. We bless the prayers and the gratitude for this community. We bless what you give towards the prudent reserve. And we see them as seeds, as incredible seeds of growing and stabilizing and grounding this ministry so that we can be a better service to ourselves, to our larger community here and the world. And we say thank you as we bless. We are grateful as we bless. For when we bless, we are truly blessed ourselves. Thank you. Our prayer chaplain on duty today is Steve Cleverly, who offered that great gathering prayer. This is your opportunity today from 12 to 12:30 to call the church office, 830-608-9515. And Steve will be right there to give you a prayer. Now, the prayer chaplains have been trained to hold these prayers confidentially and to hold that high watch. It's really quite beautiful to experience. Now, the prayer chaplains also have an email, which is prayerchaplains, plural, nb@gmail.com. Prayer works, and it's how unity began.
And spirit groups are underway. Our spirit groups are all about building communion and connection, compassion, community, and challenge, pushing that envelope of where you think you may be in your spiritual and emotional maturity and development. What a wonderful way for us to come together, even virtually, especially virtually at this time. So we have 4 different spirit groups that are being offered. The first one started are we doing Path Home?
It will start today.
Today, okay. Path Home is starting today. This is our new member group, but it's also a wonderful way to refresh what you think you once knew and may have forgotten about the foundations of unity, their co-founders, our principles, and the powers that are taught and lived as being a part of this community. Now, this is Linda Gillespie, LUT. She is a super teacher. If you have any idea and inclination to join and want to learn, revisit, and be a part of this community as a member, I invite you to participate today from 1 to 2:30.
Also, already started, so this is the second session, 3 to 4:30 today, Design Your Life with Reverend Kevin Ross. This is hosted by our licensed unit teacher, Dr. Phyllis Burgess. This is a wonderful opportunity to look at your life and see, where am I headed now? It's a wonderful time.
And on Mondays from 5:30 to 7 p.m., host is Owen Housen, and he is holding the Spirit Group Passage Meditation with Eknath. And I have not ever been a part of this, but I am so inclined. What a large group we have. It's definitely speaking to where we are in our consciousness and spiritual growth. So prayerfully consider perhaps joining that group as well.
If you join this week, you can be part of it. After that, it will be closed. And then, starting Wednesday the 7th, this is a spirit group with Roxana Dean using the curriculum Transformed by Truth with Reverend Michael Gott, who's the senior minister at Unity of Houston. He is awesome. And he's using the book Lessons in Truth, written by Emily Cady. It is a foundational book, and it is the book that was the textbook, the only textbook used to train Unity ministers for years. But you had to demonstrate the principle in the book, which is no small thing. So you might join that spirit group to dance with that wonderful, wonderful wisdom.
Absolutely.
Spirit groups. The links for these spirit groups are in our e-newsletter. So if you want to visit any of them, go to the newsletter and the link will be right there, the Zoom link.
Perfect. And today is our pet blessing. We are starting at 12:30 after service. Reverend Gary and I will be out front in the portico until 2 o'clock. Please feel free to bring your furry friends, especially if you have a horse or a llama. That would just absolutely make our day. We'd love to bestow some blessings of appreciation and honor the divinity that is in each one of our furry feathered friends. So you can also, if you have a pal that's not so keen on a car ride, please stop by with a picture. We'd love to see you too, and we can offer a blessing of gratitude and appreciation through that photograph if that's what's more appropriate for your little critter.
And you can just drive up and we can bless, or you can get out of your car and we'll bless. It's going to be fun. Next week, it was so fun last week to just bring a bag lunch and meet and greet right here at the church. We actually met here in the portico. It was delightful. So next week, October 11th, we're going to have another parking lot picnic right here at the church.
Got to take advantage of our good weather.
Absolutely. Excuse me. And now, special music with the Unity Singers. And I know Ron's going to tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, this is a song I wrote about an encounter I had with an eagle. It was a hot summer day, and I was making my way to this small range of mountains in southeastern Arizona, the Chiricahua Mountains. And I was hiking down into a canyon there in the mountains, and I noticed an eagle soaring above me, and soared past me and went a ways and turned back around, and it was like putting on a show for me. It was just back and forth and back and forth. And at one point, just watching this, I just, tears in my eyes, tears of joy in my eyes that something like this would happen. Then, I call it a she landed on a ridge right above me, which I named Indian Ridge. And I was looking up at her and watching her, and at one point she turned her head and we made direct eye contact. And about 2 seconds later, she spread her wings and soared off of that, and for about a couple of seconds, there was nothing else, no space, no time. I felt myself go off of that cliff with the bird. And, it was quite an encounter. So that's what this song is about. It's called Indian Ridge. Hot wind is blowing, the desert is glowing, there's peace down in these canyon walls. Far from the bustle, life's crazy hustle, the land is hard, but it's the hardness that calls. Up in the distance, there at the skyline, she spread her graceful wings, and as her wings touched the sun with the wind, she was one, and she sat down on Indian Ridge. Her silhouette turned my dry eyes wet at the beauty and wonder of it. Indian red, Indian red. Life can't erase such a beautiful trace. She sat down on Indian Ridge. She sat there in splendor, the watch of the tender. Her head turned, and then our eyes met. There was no space or time, spirit over mind, a feeling that cannot be said. Up in the distance, there at the skyline, she spread her graceful wings, and as her wings touched the sun, we became one, and we took flight from Indian Ray. Indian race, Indian race. Her silhouette turned my dry eyes wet at the beauty and wonder of it. Such a beautiful trace. We took flight from Indian race. We took flight from Indian race.
How beautiful, and I love that story. And as we bring this service to a close, we're going to take this opportunity to sing the Prayer for Protection song, which is arranged by Ron Bretsky, and I love those.
Light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
So beautiful.
It is. So thank you all for joining us today online, viewing live stream, or sometime later in the week. Whenever it is that you are stopping to connect with this community and with the divine, why don't you breathe in just a moment of gratitude for all of the contributions in your life that animal wisdom brings to you. Make sure you're checking online for our up-to-date events. If you aren't getting our e-newsletter, you can sign up on our website so you're sure not to miss out on any classes, any announcement, and most definitely the Spirit Group sign-ups, which are going to be wrapping up this week. Don't miss out, and we sure hope that we see you this afternoon with a picture or your critter friends for a pet blessing. And as we like to do when we sign off at the end of each Sunday, we leave you with Namaste.